poet is kind of the first creative title that I gave. No, I'm lying. The first creative title I gave myself was rapper, but I wasn't any good, and I love telling that story. I love telling that story. I was a rapper called Rampage for about 6 minutes.
Yo!
I used to rap about stuff that I didn't do. If Tupac's calling himself a poet, then maybe it's not too embarrassing to write poems.
Wicked. Welcome to Apples and Snakes, the podcast. My name is Yomi. I am excited to introduce the guest for this episode who has made me feel home from home, if that makes any sense. Like, if I kind of consider this kind of London life of mine, and anytime I travel outside of London, I'm blessed to build community in other places and spaces. And Manchester holds a special place in my heart. And I'm very thankful to our guest today to be one of the people. If I arrive in Manchester, a man will be like, "What are you saying?" And I'm like, "All right, cool. What's going on? What are we doing?
What's happening?
What's happening? What's going on?" And definitely, Reece is one of those people. And if it's not Reece, it's definitely Shirley May. And if it's not Shirley May, it is Young Identity as a whole. But for the purpose of just this episode, it's an absolute pleasure to be speaking to the one and only Reece Williams.
My brother.
What's going on, my guy?
I'm nice, bro. I'm really happy to be here, man. Yeah.
And there's never been a point that I've spoken to Reece where his fit is not on. Listen.
Thank you.
Listen, it's always got to be something. If there's two things I know about Reece, it's definitely he gets more hench by the time. The beard is definitely bearding, and the fit is definitely fitting. Do you see what I mean? This is what we're talking about. So good to speak with you, man.
Yeah, man.
And it's so good to have a conversation around performance and theming it around performance, because this is something you hold close.
Yeah, for real, man.
Close in your heart. Before any of that, how you feeling? How present are you in this space and time? Yeah. Talk to me, man.
I'm feeling well, man. Really excited to be here. Life is good, just in show mode, gearing up for my show, which is popping in a couple of weeks and going on tour. Family's well. I can't complain. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain.
It's a blessed thing, because like there's never been, not so much a problem, but you troubleshoot so well. You're just like, listen, if this is the situation, we're just going to deal with it and we're going to move on. That's what it is. And I feel like that is such a mindset, whether it's in the poem, whether you are working with a range of poets, whether you are overseeing programs, whether you are like producing and working with an artist, you've got such a focused mindset that just kind of just gets to it and works. Like, has that always been something that's traveled with you a long time? As if you worked on it a long times, or like?
You know what? I think it's developed. I think the busier I've got, the more hats that I've had to wear, and that's both professionally and personally. I've had to figure out not only how do I carry this, but how do I carry it well. I don't want to get to the end of any process and feel disheveled or run down or stressed. And that's just about getting it done, you know. And there's a saying that I live by, which it is what it is. And that's good. That's for better or for worse. That's good and bad. It is what it is. And me,
I will make peace with this, because you're not the only person to raise it is what it is. Yeah. Shout out to Zaki, who raised it as well from Birmingham, who raised it is what it is. And it's that kind of finite point of just like, yeah, this is what it is,
for better or for worse, for good or for bad. This is the situation we found ourselves in. I found myself in. Yeah, and we're gonna approach that with as much clarity as we can, as much calm as we can, as much integrity as possible, and then we move from that. You know,
I know the grafter, the writer, the comedic genius when you have your moment, and we haven't even started talking about our music talks and stuff as well. I know this of you. Folks who might not be aware of the work you do, you are like, how best would you describe yourself?
There's multiple layers. Yeah, I think I describe myself as an artist. That's the title that I wear most comfortable. If you would have asked me maybe 5 years ago, I would have said I'm a poet or I'm a writer. But I say I'm an artist because I make work, I make art. Poet is kind of the first creative title that I give No, I'm lying. The first creative title I gave myself was rapper, but I wasn't any good, and I love telling that story.
What are you doing?
I love telling that story. I was a rapper called Rampage for about 6 minutes.
Yo,
I used to rap about stuff that I didn't do. And I had 4 bars, and I hope that the 4 bars were so good that no one ever knew that I didn't have anything more than 4 bars.
my God.
That was the first part, and then jumped into the poetry, which took me, which took a hold of me, and I guess hasn't let me go in all those years. I've been writing. Then that's kind of helped me branch out into other things, into making theatre, into music, but also just being a facilitator. So I say artist. Artist, for sure. So lots of mentoring, lots of workshopping, lots of supporting others in their creative process, but at the heart of that, telling stories and telling stories through poetry.
And in sticking with the stories, do you recall the first book that caught your attention and the first story that you wrote?
That's a good question. I'm not going to say it's definitely the first story that I read, but I remember being a kid and I spent my pocket money on The Wind in the Willows.
Oh, yo.
Yeah, and the mad thing is now I don't remember what the story's about, but I just knew that I read it and I was gassed. I used to love reading the Goosebumps books as a kid.
Those Goosebumps books.
I was those kids when
Bad boy.
Remember you used to have those library fairs where they come to your school and they come with the van or whatever it is. I was that kid that was like, I saved my pocket money. Granny gave me a £5. I got a £3 from over there, and I go and I just geek out and buy books. First story that I wrote that I remember, probably year 7. I wrote a story and it was about an alien invading a cowboy scene in the Wild West or something like that. And then it had to end with, and then he woke up or something. You know, the usual ending. Then it was all a dream.
You gave yourself an EastEnders dove without even knowing. You were just like, this is the cliffhanger and I'm going to hold it on.
Exactly.
And then that's it. We're going to move on from there.
Exactly that. Yeah, so I think, I wrote that as a kid in early high school, late.
So interestingly, from that point, how did you come into, like, say, contact with, like, poetry? Like, how did that become, like, a thing? Yeah,
it's interesting. So what happened was, I said I was a rapper for about a minute.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are happening at that time. I grew up in Moss Side. I grew up at a high school that was literally 5 minutes from Moss Side. I got into a lot of fights in school, but equally on the other end, I was always academic. I loved being in school. I loved learning. I've always enjoyed reading. I've always enjoyed writing. When other kids are laughing at the stuff you got learning poetry in school, I'm like, this is sick for me. This is doing it. Even if I don't like the poetry, I'm loving engaging with a discourse around it. So I had one too many fights. We had a great mentor in school. I say we because he was a mentor for all of us. Called Denzel. And one day Denzel comes in. I had a fight, and he comes in. He says, "Right, you have timetable with me again." And he said, "I've just come out of a meeting. Your parents were there. The heads were there, and you are literally on your last strike. The next fight that you have, you're in trouble, and you're gone." And I'm not saying that to gas it. I'm not saying it to I'm not joking at this point, because he said it to me before. But he said, I'm not actually joking. Like, it's the last time that I can plead for you. And he's like, the best thing that you can do is take this notepad and this pen, and all the things that get you angry enough to fight about, write about it. All the cheeky things that come in your head and get you kicked out of class because you're being inappropriate and you're sending it for the teachers. Just write it down. And I remember at first trying to crack a joke, and I'm like, are you trying to ask me to write a diary? Because the only people that I know that write diaries are grown folk. I try to write a diary, and he's like, whatever you're trying to do, you need to figure it out, because it's not it. So all right, cool. I'm hearing him. Went away and wrote it. Very much at the beginning, it felt like a diary. It was just random thoughts. This happened in PE. Don't like this guy. If I see him outside school, he's on site, whatever it was I was writing. Then eventually it became a little bit more creative, and probably because I was really enjoying the English in school. We were looking at poetry. We're looking at literature that I genuinely enjoyed. And in my own time, I was spending time in the library to try and stay out of trouble. I read the Tupac Rose from Concrete book as well, which is like, rah. If Tupac's calling himself a poet, then maybe it's not too embarrassing to write poems. And then I remember one time, I had an English teacher, I wrote an essay, and he was like, this is really well written, and the use of language, and he's like, it's very poetic. And my ears pricked, so I was like, oh, he said the word poetry.
Did you align it to Tupac and the book one?
Not even, it wasn't even related. I was just using certain vocabulary, and he's like, it's very poetic, and I was like, you mentioned poetry, and I literally took out this notepad and was like, sir, here's what I've written. And he was like, this is really nice. Like, do you actually know that it's poetry? He's like, this is lovely. Like, keep doing it if it makes you feel good. And I'm not saying it to make you feel better, but the writing's really nice.
Yeah.
So I'll continue doing that. At Church Youth Club, there was a poetry group. One of my youth mentors heard that I liked poetry, and she put on a whole class for a lot of us.
Oh,
got some poets in from the community to come to our youth club on a Friday and write with us.
Yeah.
And then a friend says to me, "Oh, there's this young identity poetry writing group in the community. You should definitely go." I'm like, "Okay, let's go. Let's check it out." And I rocked up, and yeah, it literally changed my life.
Rest is literally history.
Literally, yeah. I met Shirley May, Ali Kadema, and then my peers, the Nicoles, the Shirleys, obviously, as the mentor, but then my peers, Keisha and Yusuf, and yeah, it was something else, man. Elmi, yeah.
In the spirit of poetry, would you mind sharing this piece that you have?
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Would be good to just have the title and then you just kind of just go do your thing.
Yeah. So this poem I'm going to perform for you guys is called For the Father Who Drove with the Fear of His Own Murder on His Mind. And it begins with a quote from a book that's called Gang Wars of Manchester. Then a Doddington posse on mountain bikes surrounded 19-year-old Warren Williams on Claremont Road whilst he was sat in his BMW. Then a hitman dressed in black opened fire. Williams escaped by ducking under the dashboard, climbing out of the passenger seat and jumping onto a passing bus. I assume these were choices of style. That when confronted with changing traffic lights, you would choose a diversion through a back street over sitting stationary in traffic for any great period of time. That the steep reclined angle of your driver's seat was somehow an extension of your outfit, like the staples of gold chopper chain, Versace jeans, and Rolex watch. That your kind of bad boy had seen those crash test dummy videos and shrugged, concluding that a seatbelt is sacrilege. That a number of different routes we take to church or home was about giving your boys more time in the back seat of your grey BMW E30 to experience the resonance of jungle shaking our torsos and the rearview mirror. That the weight of your right foot was about pushing the Beamer to the brink of its capabilities and stirring our adrenaline. I hadn't considered that to be still in traffic is to be a target. Didn't appreciate your knowledge of vehicular mechanics. Your driver's seat was perfectly positioned to align your head with the B pillar. That post between the front door and the rear door, the strongest point of the entire vehicle. Didn't consider that your enemy's bloodthirst would have them plotting your every move, and predictability might be the precursor for bloodthirst satisfied. Didn't think that the risk of being ejected through the front windscreen of a car in a crash was less daunting than the risk of being strapped into a car being riddled with bullets. Didn't consider the weight of your right foot wasn't so much about speed or swag or time with us as it was simply about getting to the destination alive. And all this time, I never knew that you drove with the fear of your own murder on your mind. Light one of them light ones.
One of them light ones, bro. One of them light ones. Talk to me about this poem. Firstly, talk to me about the title.
Yeah. So it's the title is For the Father Who Drove with the Fear of His Own Murder on His Mind. And it's obviously about my dad. And I wanted to write a poem for him, and I wanted the title to carry weight from the very beginning, and almost be an invitation into the poem straight away, so we know what we're going to experience. I don't want to do that reveal later on. We're going to be really explicit from the beginning.
And we're now entering what I've coined as the crunch of this segment, as we crunch into your poem. And as we kind of go into this poem, the first thing, there's different layers, right, that kind of strike to me. And one of the first ones is this isn't no fiction.
No, true story. True story. Yeah,
this is no fiction. It's a lived experience in which you have spoken to me about, and I'm very thankful for that. By the way,
thank you.
It's not easy to share stories of our past and current. In such a way that you speak of your dad and you speak of the memory of your dad. It's wild because this is your dad's story, but then you are also very present within this situation.
Yeah, for sure.
The danger is like, you're probably just looking at, oh, that's his dad, but you're not necessarily like clocking what the situation dad is in. Do you see what I mean?
For sure.
Would you mind talking a bit about that before we even get into this poem? For
sure, because I guess I think of that particular time. So for a long time, my dad was active in kind of that Manchester gangland scene.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean active, I mean he was active in that.
Yeah.
If you asked anyone about Big Worm or Big Warren, then that's the person they're going to think of and they're going to know who he is. And it's crazy that as a child, you see and perceive and you feel things.
Yeah.
And they seem out of the ordinary. But because your relationship with your dad is ordinary, you don't probe it any further. It doesn't strike you as anything. I'm talking about there'll be times when people would cross the road, would be walking in the park or near the park, and somebody would physically go, whoosh, a big man, whoosh, let me go that way because I don't want to cross paths with this guy. And you just say, I don't know. You see something, but you don't question it.
Yeah.
And equally, I'd see my dad, and this where the spark for this poem comes from. It's sat like this, and we used to laugh at it. We think, why is my dad driving lying down? What is this? And we laugh and think it's joke. Like in the same way that guys used to have the one leg rolled up. Yeah, and you just think it's part of a swag.
And plus, we've seen it in the movies where the man sit like this, and then we've never necessarily
we've not questioned why. Yeah, we just think it's that. Cool. It's image, it's clout, it's cool, it's how to flex a certain way. And you pick up on certain conversations, you overhear certain things that you're not old enough to understand, but something isn't quite normal here. Yeah. And there's an undercurrent, there's a tension here, and there's a feeling. So that's me thinking about as a child and how I approach this poem from the childlike perspective. And the conversation that made me write the poem was, I remember before my dad passed away, and again, I'll be clear, he didn't pass away because of his gang activities. He turned his life around, gave back to the community, all that lovely stuff. But I remember there's one Sunday we're at my grand's, we're having dinner, and I've given him a lift somewhere. He wasn't on the road at this particular point. And he's got him in the passenger seat. It's done the wide thing. And I'm literally about when we all burst out laughing.
So
I said,
funny.
Dad, why are you so fast? I said, like, no one ain't gonna see you to see how fly you look with your thing. You see so far back. He laughed with me, but crap. Today when I got dropped him off at his house, and he said, "Do you know where that comes from, innit, son?" I said, "What?" He said, "This lean back thing." I said, "No." When he's broke it down to me, he said, "The time when I was doing what I was doing, and I knew people wanted me dead. They'd made attempts on my life, or there was rumors that there's going to be an attempt on my life. Those small things, like my head being in the right place, can save my life, quite literally." And he literally broke it down to me and said, "This is called the B pillar. This is the car. This is the B pillar. This bit here is the thickest part of the entire car because it's where the roof and the sides meet." And he's like, if a bullet hits that, either A, it's gonna jam and lock in, or if it does go through, that metal's gonna suck up all of the force in that bullet, and that might save my life." And I was like, whoa.
All these times you just thought it was just that.
And then I went home that day and I'm sat. I didn't write the poem for years later, but I'm sat and I'm like, okay, so that makes sense. I understand why when we was kids and he'd pick us up, he's always driving quick. And I just thought it's because he had wicked cars. He had BMW, he had a Audi Quattro at one point. He had, what else did he have? He's had every nice guy, Golf GTI before it was cool. Subaru Impreza. Yeah. Every car you can think of that's fast, he had. I thought, that's why you drive that way, because you got a fast car. Yeah. What's the point of having a fast car if you drive slow? Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's nothing to even do with that. It's driving when we're in the car becomes functional. I got to get from here to here in the quickest way possible. Equally, I'd be like, right, he drops us back from church, but sometimes he goes this way around, this time he cuts through the estate. Sometimes it's like he does a loop and then go, I don't understand, that's not the quickest way. And I'm like, that makes sense, because you don't want no one to clock a pattern. Even if they know on a Sunday he comes to pick his mum and his boys up from church, so they can't say he goes the same way every single time. And I'm like, yo.
And in real time, those kind of, because those are literally mannerisms, right? Those are like
the ways of being.
The ways of being. Like this is like this. It's innately in the DNA to be like, yo, I need to forward think before anything else. Knowing all of this stuff and coming back to this poem, how, if we're talking poetics, how do you ensure, how did you ensure, because you wrote this poem, how did you ensure that you maintained poetics in what you could literally just write out as like memoir?
Yeah, for sure.
Being so literal. Yes. How did you maintain the idea that we're gonna stay in the poem as opposed to me telling you?
Yes.
You know, that kind of show don't tell.
For sure. So how I did that, I mean, there's a few ways that I did that. The first way is I was reading the Michael Fern book, the Structure and Surprise book. Shout out Roger Robinson for the recommendation on that. And it talks about a structure of poetry called the concessional poem. And it goes back to Greek days where they'd have debates. And in order to win an argument, they would concede something on their own behalf really early on. So they might say, I concede that I am not the most intelligent man in the room and I have these flaws, therefore you can't use them against me. Let's proceed.
Like this mad 8 Mile moment. Like, let me just do this.
Exactly that.
Like,
exactly that. 8 mile, pre-8 mile. And so I approached that with the mindset of what can I concede early in this piece, but also consistently in this piece, which is, even as a kid, I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew that my dad just was a stylish guy and liked to lean back. And that leaning back is just like wearing a Rolex watch, or just like wearing a gold chopper chain, or just like wearing Versace jeans. And I think that he wants to give us more time in the car. That's why we take the long route home or to church, because he wants to give us more time to floss that he's got a nice car. And, you know, he wants us to experience his music and be around him and I want to concede that actually that's a flaw in my thinking. It's something I've made an assumption about. I've never asked about it. I've never had confirmation on that. I've just assumed. And with that assumption in mind, let me address how I can now see that version of my dad with a lot more empathy. Even though that version's passed away literally and also figuratively, because he moved on from that era of his life. For the father who drove with the fear of his own murder in his mind is saying, I concede that I missed all of these things. And I saw you as a Superman. But I didn't see you as fragile. I didn't see you as touchable.
And also, what can you do at that age? Like, even if you did clock it, what could you do at that age? Do you see what I mean? Like, 100%. There's so much.
100%. But also now, speaking as an adult with a more informed mind to be able to address those assumptions and those flaws in my thinking and those gaps in my knowledge that I just invented. To now be like, you know what, I really rate that. I rate that, you know, that was a way of life. It was a mannerism that you adopted and it served us all well. And it also did all the things you didn't intend it to do, which was it gave us more time with you. It let us stir our adrenaline and appreciate what it's like to be in the back of a Subaru, which was crazy. That was Colin McRae timesy. But can I tell you the story?
Go on,
can I tell you the story?
Bro.
So this Subaru, my dad rocks up at the Maserati showroom in Manchester. This is like 97. And it's the time when Colin McRae's on the TV driving the Subaru Impreza. So my dad rocks up at the showroom and he goes, I want a Subaru. And the man laughed at him. He says, what you laughing? He says, you know what he's like? Less than 30 of those cars in the country at the minute. Like, this is a new car. So Andy said, I want one. So, it's going to cost you 28 grand and it's going to have to be paid in cash. That says, okay, what day? Tell me the day to come and I'm coming back for the cars. And I'm such and such a day. Anyway, my dad rocks up that day, duffel bag. For the 28 grand.
Like, hey, yo.
He says, he said it come like a Wild West film where the whole place, the music does. And he says anyway, so he buys this car, gets off. But then what's funny, right?
That's so funny.
What's funny? I think God's got a sense of humor because my dad gets locked up less than a year after this, right?
Nice.
So he goes to prison. And anyway, so my dad's is doing it's his first year in prison of this particular stretch, and a card comes through the post. He gets his mail. Would you believe he got a Christmas card from the dealership? They diverted the thing to my dad in prison.
Oh my
Thank you
God,
for your business.
Thank you for your business done. Oh my days.
So, yeah.
Old dad, man.
Yeah.
I wanna go back to the poem super quick before we move to your poet of choice that we're gonna watch, right?
Yep.
In thinking of the poem, are there any key lines in there that you're just like, you know what, people don't even realize the levels that I went to for that line, the context or something, but you don't even realize what I just done there?
Yeah.
Are there any moments like that in this poem?
Yeah. I really like the stanza where I say, I hadn't considered that the risk of being ejected through the front window screen of a car in an accident was less daunting than the risk of being strapped into a car being rid of bullets. I really like that stanza because there's a real duality going on here, which is neither of the outcomes that I proposed in that stanza are desirable, but to choose the possibility that I'm gonna go through a windscreen as a more favourable outcome than I'm strapped into a car being riddled with bullets. And also because there's a foreshadowing in the quote that the poem opens with, which is a quote from the Gang Wars of Manchester book. There's a moment of full circleness here, which is, there's wisdom going on here, which is, I chose not to drive with a seatbelt. And when the guys come to take my life, I managed to get out, and I still have the story to tell. Yeah. So I think, there's a real turn in that moment, but and a real epiphany there. Yeah.
I appreciate that you brought this poem to the crunch through and kind of discuss, man.
Thank you, man.
Before we get into our poet that we're going to watch, I wanted to talk to you about performance. And I've long known, even though there's the odd times I see you kind of read and what have you, but more time you've just been off script for the longest time. And you are one of like few people that I know. I feel like it's not just a case of we're performing. There's even in the lived experience of what you just talked about, being on that stage, there's something that runs deeper in the story that's being told. I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying this type situation. I'm saying this because it's something I've actively experienced and I'm going through. Make or break situation on this stage right now. As even as you was reading it earlier, you was intense. Your facials, it seems like you're very aware of your facial expressions. You know everything that's going on in real time. What is your relationship with performance?
I think that I probably came into performance earlier than I did into the craft of writing poetry. And when I say craft, I mean taking it really serious, that every word, every line, every thought here matters. Probably because Young Identity, within a month of me joining Young Identity, I was on stage performing. So that element of performance, and I think there's lots of things that in those early days of workshops that stuck with me, that were said in workshops that stuck with me, which were the stage is a sacred place. Someone's paid their money to come and see you. Give them the best experience you can give them. And as performance poets, of course, we live in an age where we record and we digitize everything, but on a surface level, this might be the last time that an audience member engages with your work. You don't get a do-over. If I can pick up mannerism and read a poem and be like, yo, this is beautiful, but I don't quite get it, but let me label with it, We don't get that in performance.
Which what you see is literally like what you see, you engage with, you take in.
You have your present, you consume in that moment. So diction has to be on point. Intention and purpose has to be on point. Where I'm landing my thoughts has to be on point. Dynamic, I distinguish that from volume. Dynamic has to be right.
Can you break down? To get me geeky.
Yeah.
Can you break down where you land in thoughts? Because the assumption is all of what you're performing are thoughts. that you're kind of getting out there. So the idea of, but wait, we just got a whole poem of these thoughts.
Exactly that, yeah.
So when you mean landing in thoughts, what do you mean?
I mean, every single line in a poem, and let's discard enjambment or a stanza, a line that runs off a stanza.
Yeah.
Every single line is its own unique thought.
Right.
There is an intention behind it. There is a meaning behind it. It serves a purpose in propelling the narrative of the poem forward, or at least taking the audience on a journey. What is that thought? What is the thoughts that you want to land? Is it I want to land on you that I'm confused about my own state of mind at the moment? Is it I want to land the thought on you that oh my God, I'm getting a moment of clarity as I'm speaking this to you? Is it I want to land this emotional truth on you?
Yeah.
What is that line? What is that thought that I want to land? And every line is a series of those things.
And do you measure that also with the silences that you hold in between those?
Absolutely. And the silence is an interesting one. It's actually Pete Kalu who taught me that. And I remember early on, I slammed it. It was a piece that I literally just written, and it was a fire piece, a piece I was really, really happy with. But I remember doing it, and it was energy. It went well. Anyway, Pete come to me and he says, Reece, you need to work. He says, if you can master how to pause, you're going to be a problem. Not in those words, but he says, the poem's sick. But he's like, and the analogy that he used, and it was crazy, was like, he said, it's like, Reece, you just gave me a plate, a Sunday dinner plate. It's full of food. And I've just finished chewing the first piece of chicken. And you bring in Guinness punch, or you bring in something else heavy to me. And let me chew this. Let me taste this one for a little minute. And that stuck with me. And again, connecting with other mentors, but just me owning the craft, was the audience ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
Even if I'm on a slam and I'm going to go over time, it's more important that you stay with me and present with me, and the thought lands where it's supposed to land. I'm going to give you a moment to catch up in real time. I'm going to be comfortable in holding that space with silence. Just because I'm a poet doesn't mean that every single moment has to be filled with words.
And in keeping with that energy, we're going to go to this video from this poet. He was a don.
Yeah, absolute G. Absolute G.
Absolute G. I actually look forward to again have an episode with Keisha, man. Would you mind talking? Well, the poet and the poem, because we're going to talk about the poem afterwards. But if we can briefly, just like in the intro, just like little snippet as to like what the poet and also this poem, and why this poem.
Yeah, so the poet is Keisha Thompson. Absolutely phenomenal human. I'm going to start by saying that before I even get into the artistry of the poem or of what she does. And I chose this poet because there's a real skill that she has of taking real intelligent thought and making it accessible, whilst also preserving that craft of what does it mean to speak in heightened language. And I love the way that her poems give us space to figure out where we sit within exploring really deep issues or even really trivial issues. Where do I sit on that side of the defense? Which side of the defense do I sit on? Let's get
in. Title of the poem
is Algebra.
Awesome. Let's get into this poem.
This is What TV. I'm Keisha Thompson, and this poem is called Algebra. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I used to think that I was aware of its meaning, leaning back on my chair, cocky in my classroom, not really bothered about the truth. See, schools have a way of twisting things up like Rubik's Cubes. They'll tell you about algebra without telling you that it's Arabic, a word hand-picked from a foreign land, and its meaning, the reunion of broken things. Algebra is the alchemy of the unknown, which means that A can stand for anything. And I would give anything to go back to my classroom, arm raised like Einstein's fringe, to ask if A could stand for the abolition of transatlantic slavery. Could it stand for the aggressive abstraction that makes my history teacher tell me only of Wilberforce and the House of Commons? He didn't want us to show the full working out, because for that you'd have to talk about Harriet Tubman or the Haitian Revolution, or that bit where Wilberforce had to argue that slaves were property in order to set them free. Some sugar-sweet hypocrisy turned my ancestors into outdated machines so that the slave masters would reap the redundancy fee. The inconvenience of the human spirit led to the biggest bailout that this country's ever seen. I think A could stand for Aviva and all those companies that we still use today, kick-started with slave money. I think A could stand for Abraham Lincoln, who only fought against slavery because of its inefficiency. Let the slaves be free so they can pay for their own poverty. This is algebra, the reunion of broken things. I think B could stand for Black Panthers bottled up and brought to you by Beyonce. Now, I haven't got a problem with her tribute per se, but why does a Super Bowl break have to be the classroom of today? Why does it take a pop song to validate my skin, my body, my past? I think B could stand for Brazilian beauty queens too black to be broadcast. B could stand for Burger King meals served to assassins with a backdrop of burning black churches. B could stand for bleach creams, making my race more invisible than it already is. This is algebra, the reunion of broken things. I think C could stand for coercion, colonialism, credo. It could stand for capitalism, censorship, cultural castrato. All I know is this curriculum is a cesarean section of mass destruction. It will reach into your womb and pluck you from your roots unless you are prepared. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Some of you might know this as Pythagoras' theorem without knowing the meaning of his name. It can translate to destruction is a marketplace. Some of you might know this theorem just because it's named after a Greek man, without knowing that it was used by the Egyptians way back when they used to be black to build the pyramids. It was used by the Babylonians before Pythagoras had his ass kissed by Euclid. So why do we name it after him? No credit to its heritage. This is algebra, the reunion of broken things. I think C could stand for children scribbling confused calculations within the confines of their Cartesian pages, putting one digit in just one box, rehearsing their limits. I think C could stand for critique. And there's a reason why you won't find any of this in your textbooks, because maybe then everything that we've been taught might actually start to add.
Imagine, how do you wrap up like this? Oh, that ending.
Mad in it. Crazy.
That, and do you know, it's, do you know what I love? I'm a real fan of performance, you know.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I'm a real fan of it because, and that performance is a good reason because the pace was just steady.
Beautiful.
Not too,
yes.
Didn't go over, didn't go under. It's just like, let me chat to you for a second. Let's just have a conversation.
You forgot at moments you were listening to a poem. Not that it's not poetic, but you forgot. You're just like, I'm just listening to some reasoning.
Yeah, let's just chat for a minute.
Yeah.
And if you think I'm talking too much, let me keep the poetic. Let me bring this refrain back in. This is algebra. The reunion of broken things. And we just go again. And it's just that kind of steady. Do you know what it is? It's almost like a dismantling. It's almost like just kind of like, I'm just going to kind of like separate all of this and I'm going to bring it right back together.
Absolutely.
I watched the solo show.
Yes.
Caught in Edinburgh.
Yes.
And again, it's the complexity in which Keisha kind of thinks and makes a whole show out of this and brings you back to a place to just like, oh, what just happened?
Yeah, absolutely.
What just happened? But this is me. I think what does it sit with you?
It's so, that piece is so powerful for me. I think the first time I heard it was actually funny, right? So I've got to tell this. We do an event in Manchester called One Mic Stand. Yes. And every now and again we'll do a special edition. So this one was an Inner Voice Slam special. So all the Inner Voice crew had to slam against each other.
Oh, yo.
When I tell you, I lenged it down that night, right? The first round I got 10, 10, 10, 9, whatever, smashed it, right? Yeah. We're in the final now. I got a 10, I got a 9. I'm like, yo, man's got this in the bag, man's bragging rights, bro. She comes out with algebra. bro.
Slow and steady.
Bro.
We're just gonna do this slow and steady.
Bro.
Did she look at you at any point when she done the refrains?
No, she does. Audience. Come off stage like, where my money there?
Yo,
where's my crowd?
Done. This thing's done.
Just come and lick on man, everybody in the thing, man. Like, yeah. Phenomenal.
And do you know the thing is that what's jokes is what's been interesting in these performance discussions is we think intensity, or not, let me say this.
Yes.
The idea is intensity wins. You get intense, you're bagging it because we see all the emotion, we get everything, we get the rage, we get this intensity. No.
And this is it. Because this is what's beautiful about this performance and this poem is that it doesn't rely on any gimmicks. And I say that not to throw shade on anybody, but this poem, the rage in this poem does not come from voice, doesn't come from waving my arm, doesn't come with dramatic actions, doesn't come with anything other than clarity and you hearing my words for what they are.
Clarity.
And I think that's what makes it special. What's beautiful as well is, and I'm really keen on this, is we write with our reference points in mind and who we are as people. And by that, I mean, if, for example, you might see a lot of boxing references in my work. Boxing is a big part of my life. I might reference that even in how I pace my work.
Yeah.
I think of it in round stuff. And Keisha's a mathematician. Not many people know this. She's actually a mathematician. And I don't mean she's good at maths. I mean she's a mathematician.
This is a sick skill where you utilize that superpower and you bring it in here.
So the language of mathematics coming in and her conflating the idea of working things out in terms of proving yourself in maths. This is the answer I've arrived at and here's how I can show you I've got there. Imagine that now, but being applied to reasoning with who we are as people in Britain.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
That's incredible.
That's nuts. Like, here's the process I go through as a mathematician to arrive at a conclusion.
Yeah.
Why don't we go through that same process to figure out all the things we're being taught on day to day? Why didn't we know that there was a massive bailout and that's what basically abolished slavery? Why don't we know that Pythagoras actually got his name and his teachings from Africa?
How do you...
Yeah, crazy.
If I was going to... My thought was, and this is just the last point on this one, is around how do you watch something like, or listen to Algebra, or watch the way Keisha performs and apply it, if you do or not, do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, how do you apply that to your own work?
In a massive way, it's funny because when I started making my solo show, there's lots of reference points that I had of amazing poets that I know that have made that transition really well to making theatre. And something that Keisha does really well is, and that's both in her poems and when she's on stage as a theatre maker, as an actress, as an actor, is she makes you forget the medium that you're consuming. So she can sing. I know that she's singing, it's music, it's beautiful, but I'm listening to a story. And she's doing a poem, but it's so well told so well narratively that I just feel like it's story time.
Yeah.
And there's something really powerful when you straddle those two worlds of I'm a performer as a poet, but the audience is here for theatre, or vice versa. How do I make the poetry audience forget they're listening to a poem? I feel like they're hearing a story. How do I make the theatre audience forget that they're watching a play and hear poetry?
Yeah.
And that's definitely a task a challenge that I set myself when I was making the show. Because every single piece in the show is a poem. Every single bit of it is a poem. Yeah. Apart from my little segues, which even then are poetic, and the little bridges that take us to poems. An hour and 5 minutes is a long time for someone to sit and watch or listen to poems. Even for me, and I love poetry. So it's like, yeah, and I learn a lot of that from Keisha, watching her do her thing for sure.
I feel like I'm going to be annoyed if I don't address this before kind of like we wrap this episode, which has been really insightful, man. I'm not sure if people consider or think about in terms of a show, just some of the work fitness wise. If we're talking performance, in that get ready.
It's crazy.
Not necessarily we're in shape for the most part to be set. When I had my show in 2022 at the South Bank, this was 3 shows, right? Of back-to-back nights. I was training for that 6 months in advance, running, cardio, weights, the whole nines. And that's even before I started lines. And then I started to learn the lines, and now we're back to doing the physical with the lines all over again. You are in that right now. Like, would you mind talking just super quick on
process,
physicality, training? Because performance for you actually surpasses trying to memorize lines. You're in the gym, like you're proper working.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, and it's funny, right? When we first, I always go back to those early days. The foundation for me to perform and to take that performance thing seriously goes back to then. Because we would perform a poem, and say we, the younger entity, we'd be preparing for a show, we'd perform a poem anyway. I won't get told, do it again, it's not good enough. You got Frisco saying, I want you to run 10 laps of this thing back to forward, back to front, and when you're done, you're gonna read your poem. And when I'm trying to get my lines out, and he's like, firstly, that tells you you're not fit enough, or number 2, that intensity that you had by the time you got your breath back, I want that in the performance. And that said to me early, you can't, it's not lines, we're not in the business of reciting lines, we're not readers, we are performers, there's a difference there. So the physicality and the words I've always treated as one and the same, if that makes sense. So it's interesting to hear you talk about your process. So my process is, generally speaking, I try and always, I've got great muscle memory, being a bit arrogant in terms of my cardio. I could train for 2 weeks and my cardio is kind of A1-ish. Compare it might be 10, 20% out of what I'd like it to be, but I can do it. But how I do things is, I'm on cardio and weights whilst running lines. I'm on the treadmill running 7 miles an hour, doing the poem that I've just performed here. And if I miss a line, I catch my breath and we go again. So I don't separate the two.
Some people might just be like, yo, that's way too much stress. Let me just learn my lines and let me just move from left to right, middle, spotlight me here, which is fine. But then it makes me feel like, oh, this is my thing. I want to push my body, my thinking, my everything to a next level in order to get out a type of vulnerability.
This is it. And
that's not some people run. Some people run from that. Some people are just like, yo, dude, you're doing too much.
Here's my words.
Just do the words. We feel it already. But I'm like, I feel like I'm always curious to see how far I can push my just this physical sense of like, where can I go to really connect with my words? This is where I'm at. This is where I think I'll always be at. Do you see what I mean?
Bro. And that's me, 100%. We talk about the word ego like it's a bad thing. My ego says that the words that I've written deserve to be presented in the best possible way that I can present them. If that means me running whilst doing those words, if that means me busting a sweat, if that means me getting up to go to the gym before I go work when I don't want to, and it's cold and it's wet and it's miserable. But at the end of that,
you get this,
and I've got an audience that are like, yo, I came to see some stand-up spoken word poetry, and yo.
That's what I'm leaving with.
Bro, it's worth that sacrifice. That moment is worth the sacrifice.
Really quick, snapshot, a moment that you're proud of. Really quick.
Creatively or like...
Let's say creatively, since we're here.
Yeah, I'm going to say...
It can't take too long in the explanation of it. But
I've just come off stage, opening night of the first time I presented This Kind of Black.
Wicked.
Literally just finished.
Wicked.
Energies.
What are you currently listening to, or what are you currently reading?
At the minute, I'm actually on a lot of self-help stuff, to be fair. It's like personal development stuff. I've just finished reading Atomic Habits. And I'm on the 5 a.m. club at the minute.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I'd like to claim the 5 a.m. club. Apparently, I'm not really 5, but I wake up like I'm within the 5 a.m. My gym opens at 6. But I'm still feel like I'm part of the 5 a.m. club. I still wake up and I'm in there. Do you know what I mean?
Have you read the book?
I've not read the book.
So this is why when people say you're not part of the 5 a.m. club, I'm going to get you a copy. Come to Manchester, I'm going to give you a copy. That's going to be my gift for you for the year.
What? I'm around 5 o'clock. Why am I not in the 5 a.m. club? I'm waking up after 5. What is this? I feel like I've been shagged.
Don't be shagged. I'll tell you what it is. It's a principle of a way of being. It isn't the fact of being awake at 5 o'clock. Your 5 o'clock could be 3, could be 6,
No,
could be
but
7.
check. I could be up for like maybe 5:15.
Yeah.
Get my nice glass of water.
Yeah.
Have a moment. I'm not in my phone. Just take some time. I feel like these are nice steps to being part of the 5 a.m.
Yeah, the steps. They're definitely steps. I'm not 5 a.m. club yet. Me reading it, I'm not claiming 5 a.m. club yet at all. No. I'm not claiming it. But those that are 5 a.m.ers are on it. I've got a boy called Rio. I've got a boy called Rio. Bro, he's 5 a.m.er.
See, yeah, that's I don't know about that life.
It's mad inspiring. Shout out to Rio when he watches it. It's mad inspiring. Well, I'm joining 5 a.m. this year.
I'm working towards it. So you're currently reading...
Yeah, 5 a.m. club.
5 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah. Brother, we could talk for time. I feel like every guest I have, I say the same thing, and it's true because I don't see this ever as like a job. Do you see what I mean? I see it as a catch up with folks that I'm deeply admire. Do you know what I mean? Thank you for this time. Thank you for being a friend.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for being a confidant. And you are one of the people that are like, yeah, yo, this isn't working. This is working. I can appreciate that trust in you and knowing that. And I look forward to just all the endeavors, everything you're looking to do this year, man. And I'm excited for you, my guy.
Man.
Keep fitting.
Thank you. Yeah, but you know what? I can't even claim no credit for the fit. This is the missus. You know what's mad, bro? You know what's mad? Everything. The only thing that I ever pick out for myself is trainers, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I got a good wife, man. I got a good wife. No, literally. It's like, and it's funny, right? We're here to ring bell go off, right? I've see Boss Man with a River Island pass, and I'm like, my missus shopping again. No one don't need no clothes. And I'm ready to tell her off, babe, we got too much stuff in the house. She's like, look what I got you. Like, oh, babe. Like, let me just shut up. Let me just not be miserable. Let me just...
Reece,
so no, it's
always
not even me, bro.
Always a pleasure, man. Thank you very much.
Every time, brother, I appreciate you, man.
That is jokes.
True story, bro. True story.
That's it. Thank you for engaging and tuning in to this episode of Apples and Snakes, the podcast, hosted by me, Yomi Shode. If you like what you're hearing, what you're seeing, please make sure you subscribe for either DSPs, Spotify, Apple. Make sure you tune in on us on YouTube and subscribe. Stay. We've got plenty more stories to go. We don't want to lose you just yet. Big love.